So we were there like 2 days before we even got the signs of the hurricane coming. And that's what we relied on, was to see when we were going to hit the center, because that would be a quiet period. And the ambulances can't run if it's over 35 miles an hour. They were stopped dead. And we had so much help after at the hospital that there was a tent set up. There were volunteer doctors that were coming in. They were there for like 3 months to help us. But so I'm really, the last flood that was mentioned, it was briefly in the news, wiped out. He did no help to that. So I think we're on our own.
I do too. He responds to nothing. I mean, you have you've got Good Samaritans stabbed on a train, and he doesn't say anything. You know, you know that this week alone, this is really sick. This week alone, there were 2 nooses found at the Smithsonian Institute for African American History and Culture. 2 nooses. Do you hear him saying anything about this? LeBron James, his house was just spray painted with, disgusting words. And, do you hear anything from this president that, No. And I just can't even imagine what his response would or would not be.
I didn't even know there were.
I remember Katrina. I remember Bush looking out of the window when Katrina happened, and that was about all we got out of him. And I remember his daddy too. Back in 1992 is when I first moved to Florida, and we had Hurricane Andrew, and I was working down at a radio station in Miami, and I mean, we were pretty much doing everything on our own to get diapers and to, and finally the National Guard was called. Finally, our governor called in the National Guard and set up camps and tents with doctors and medical help, because Bush did nothing. I mean, these people are like, time to thin the herd.
But at least we had FEMA, and I hate the Bushes, but our last governor had helped a lot. Our insurance had tripled, and Jeb stomped that down, which we don't have that again to rely on. But my other major concern, being an ER nurse, I met so many immigrants. There's so many people that kind of travel. They move up the coast, and they pick our fruit and vegetables. And I remember even being in high school. Now we're going back to the 70s. They showed a film with Walter Cronkite on immigrants working in the fields that are migrant workers. They get chemicals sprayed over them. They're working 12, 14 hours a day. They have to defecate in the fields. That's the food we're eating. Now they're kicking these people out of the country. They've used them like Hitler used the Jews. They're putting them in prisons. He's building another prison in Texas for them. There are people that are reporting they're there in 6 months and getting treated terribly. One woman just tried to commit suicide because she was getting so depressed in the prisons.
Well, this is why America can't have racist presidents anymore. Okay, we've lived through 300-400 years. We've lived through 200 years of some crap. Okay, and then we make strides, we move forward, it takes forever, move forward, and then you get a Republican president, and the whole civil rights division is just wiped out. And, people who are here under protected status, too bad for you, we're deporting you. You cannot have a racist president in the 21st century. This is the whole thing. They want these people who keep electing these maniacs do it because they miss the 1800s. They miss the 19th century. They miss being able to exploit people.
They're ignorant. They gave him so
They're
much
not
media.
Ignorant. They are scared.
Oh, yeah, they're hateful.
They're
and
scared.
They're frightful, right.
They're scared. They're terrified.
They make immigrants the thing to be afraid of. They're taking
don't
their
you get
job.
it? Don't you get it? Look, you're white, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you white?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yes.
Obviously I'm pasty white. White people of good faith, of good conscience, understand we have a privilege just by virtue of being born this color. We walk through this planet, we walk through this country knowing certain things about ourselves, that we can drive a car at night, no matter what car we want, in any neighborhood, and nobody's going to bother. The people who are terrified that that's going to go away because the people that they have discriminated against and treated horribly and exploited and imported and beat, they are going to be the majority. And they think that those people are the same full of revenge types that they are. And they're wrong. And if they would just get to know their neighbors, they would understand nobody wants revenge. Everybody just wants to get ahead. But they're terrified. They're really scared because they know what they've done was wrong and brutal and ugly and evil. And they're scared. That's what drives them. Trust me. And that's why I keep saying, if you understand why people want to go back to the 19th century, if you understand why these people voted for Trump, if you understand what Trump was doing when he was saying Mexicans are rapists, when he was saying, oh no, black lives don't matter, blue lives, he was appealing to the fear in those people that someday, very soon, they might be a minority in this country. And they are terrified that the people that they brutalized will want their pound of flesh, except they don't.